Hey friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff, back with another sublimation tutorial. I am surrounded by a bunch of things today because in this video we're going to be making 8 different projects. I was recently at my local Michael's and I realized they're starting to get a pretty robust selection of sublimation products. So I thought, in today's video, let's test some of them. Let's see how they work compared to others on the market. Over the last 6 months to a year, I've been noticing that sublimation is becoming much more accessible in a lot of different ways. Prices are coming down, that's one way, and then it's also showing up in our local craft stores like Michael's. This makes it a lot easier for some folks to just go into their local Michael's, buy what they need instead of having to wait on Amazon or another distributor. I love seeing this because it just means that more and more people can get into the wonderful world of sublimation. So let's take a look at what we're going to test today. So like I said, I have 8 different Michael's blanks here. Let's start over here. So I've got this quite large polyester tote bag. I've got a kid's t-shirt. They had adult t-shirts as well. I have this little zippered pouch, a set of luggage tags, a set of ceramic coasters, and then 3 different mugs. So this sort of tall travel mug, this glass mug, and this silver glittery mug. So as far as price goes, these are pretty comparable to the Cricut brand. So if you've bought Cricut sublimation t-shirts or mugs, very similarly priced. Because you're buying them one at a time, they are probably more expensive per item than they would be if you were buying in bulk somewhere like Amazon or another distributor. But if you're just making for yourself, this is a really great option. You will need a few things to make these projects. You're gonna need some butcher paper. I like buying mine in flat sheets versus on the roll. I will go ahead and link everything down in the description below. You'll need some heat-resistant tape. A paper trimmer is really handy for cutting down your transfers. And then I like a pair of heat-resistant gloves. I'm using 2 different types of heat presses for these projects. Over here I have my traditional heat press. It is a Walla press. It's a clamshell press, 15 by 15. I love this thing. And over here on my right I have my PYD Life tumbler press. Also really like this press. We'll be doing all the drinkware in this press. Valentine's Day is not that far away, so for these projects I thought I would do some 3D heart sublimation patterns. You can grab these for free in my sublimation library. To access my craft library, go to heyletsmakestuff.com/library. There you can request the password if you don't have it already. Then you can go back to that same page and enter the password. This is file number S23. So you're going to be looking for S23 on the page, and there's 2 easy ways to find it. The first is to scroll down just a little bit and click the Sublimation and DTF button. This will take you down to the Sublimation section where you can find S23. The other way is to use the Find command on your computer. So if you're on a PC, you can use Control F. If you're on a Mac, you can use Command F, and you can search for S23, and it should take you right to that file. Now, when you find the file, there will be 3 links. The first link is the actual download with the PNG files inside of it. So you'll click that link and it will download right to your hard drive. The second link is to the blog post for this video, and that third link is this video. If you ever have any problems accessing anything in my craft library, go ahead and email us at hello@heyletsmakestuff.com and we'll get you sorted. Now, I'm not going to give you detailed instructions on how to make each of these projects just because this video would be a million hours long. So I'm going to make the projects and I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. I'm going to give you the time, temperature, and pressure, plus anything else you need to know. And then at the end, we'll come back and we'll reveal and see how all of these blanks did. I'm going to start with the zippered pouch, and I'm going to rip all the way around the edge so I don't have any press lines on my project. Pre-press your zippered pouch for 10 seconds to remove any moisture and to get a really flat pressing surface. Then use heat-resistant tape to secure your transfer to your zippered pouch. Add a piece of butcher paper to the bottom of your press. Add your zippered pouch with the zipper hanging off the side and the transfer facing down. Add 1 more sheet of butcher paper on top. Set your heat press to 385 degrees and then press your pouch for 60 seconds with medium pressure. Next up, let's do the kid's t-shirt. Again, I'm going to rip around the edge of this just to reduce any pressing marks I might get. I still have my heat press set to 385. I'm going to pre-press my shirt for 10 seconds to remove any wrinkles or moisture. Lint roll your t-shirt to remove any dust and debris. Then tape your image to your t-shirt using heat-resistant tape. Add a sheet of butcher paper to the bottom of your press. Place your shirt on top and add another piece of butcher paper on top of that. Then press your shirt for 60 seconds at 385 degrees with medium pressure. So this tote bag is absolutely enormous. It's way bigger than I expected it to be when I pulled it out of the package. I am going to put this heart on there, but you may want to use larger paper or several designs to cover this entire area. Like with the others, I'm going to go ahead and rip around the edge so that I don't have any pressing marks. Then I lint rolled my bag. Because this tote bag is so large, I went ahead and threaded it on my heat press. Not all heat presses can do this, but it is handy. So basically the bottom part of my bag is underneath the heat press and just the layer I am pressing is on top. And pre-pressed it at 385 degrees for 10 seconds. After the pre-press, I taped my image to my bag using heat-resistant tape. I then threaded my bag back onto the heat press and pressed for 60 seconds at 385. Remember to use butcher paper on top of and below your project to protect your heat press. Soft blanks are done. Let's do a few of our harder blanks. For the luggage tag, I'm going to start by lint rolling it just to make sure it doesn't have anything on it. Instead of cutting down my design, I'm just going to place the luggage tag face down on the image. I made the image slightly larger than the luggage tag so I wouldn't end up with any white edges. Then use heat transfer tape to secure your luggage tag to the paper. For the luggage tag, we're bumping up our temperature to 400 degrees and our time to 120 seconds. For this one, you're going to want to flip it over and place it in your heat press. Make sure you have that butcher paper on the top and on the bottom. Then press for that 120 seconds at 400 degrees. We'll do the ceramic coasters in the same way that we did the luggage tags. First, I'm going to lint roll my coaster. You want to make sure that you're sublimating the shiny white side and not the dull off-white side. And then I'm going to tape it to my transfer. Again, you want the coaster on the bottom and the design on the top facing down. You want to put it in the center of your heat press so that it gets even pressure. Then press for that 120 seconds at 400 degrees. All right, we are on to the drinkware. Let's go ahead and make all 3 of these cups. For trimming my transfers down to fit my mugs, I find that a paper trimmer works best. Start by lint rolling your mug. You can also use alcohol and a microfiber cloth if you'd like. Then tape your transfer to the mug. This mug has really straight sides, so I'm not going to tape it at the top or at the bottom. I will have a small amount of white on the bottom, but I think that's going to be okay. Not gonna lie, I forgot a step. Remember to wrap your tumbler in butcher paper before pressing. Set your heat press to 385 degrees and press your mug for 60 seconds. I'm going to make my glass project in the same way. I'm going to trim down my transfer, lint roll your mug or use alcohol to clean it, and then tape your transfer to the mug. For this one, I'm not going to tape the top and the bottom either, just because it has this little glass lip on the top and the bottom, and I think it will be fine without it. Again, I forgot my butcher paper. Set your heat press to 365 degrees and press your mug for 80 seconds. And finally, we have our glitter mug, and I'm going to do it the same way as I've done my other mugs. I'll start by trimming my transfer, and then I'll tape the transfer to my mug. And again, I've actually left a little bit of space at the top and the bottom. We'll have a little bit of a silver edge here, but I think on this particular blank, that'll look fine. That will keep us from having those sort of blurry edges that happen. And once again, I forgot my butcher paper. Set your heat press to 365 degrees and press this mug for 80 seconds. All right, I have all 8 of my projects here. I haven't peeked. I have no idea how well these did, so let's take a look. We started with this cute little zippered pouch, so let's go ahead and pull this back. Oh yeah, that sublimated really nicely. Overall, I would say this is probably a medium quality blank. I do like that it has this metal zipper, but I can't get it all the way closed because of the extra fabric it has here in the seam. So that's kind of annoying, but I do like that it's a big metal zipper versus kind of one of those small nylon zippers. I also don't love how it's not perfectly rectangular. So you can see here that it kind of comes in here. It's just not 100% rectangular. So overall, I would say this is a good blank, but not a great blank. Next up, we have this kid's t-shirt. So let's go ahead and peel back our image here. Again, this sublimated really nicely. That is really cute. Overall, I think this is a pretty good sublimation shirt. A lot of times polyester can be see-through, and this one really isn't, which is really nice. It's kind of thick. Obviously, it still feels a little bit like polyester, but it does have a nice sort of cotton feel. I like it a lot more than some of the others that I've seen, and as you can see, it sublimates beautifully. This is definitely one I can recommend. Next up is the biggest tote bag I've ever seen. I'm gonna hold it up here. Who needs a tote bag this big? This thing is absolutely enormous. I printed the largest I could print on my 8.5 by 11 paper out of my brother, and it didn't even come close to covering any sort of surface here. I don't know, this is a very big tote bag. So let's pull off our picture here. Oh, that's sublimated pretty well. Yeah, that's nice. I'm not sure about the quality of this enormous tote bag. So in the overhead shot here, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I do have a little bit of staining. I'm not sure where that came from. These came directly out of the bag I bought at Michael's, so I don't think they came from my craft room. And then over here, I already have a snag, and I didn't snag it on anything. I also feel like no matter how much I pressed it, I couldn't get the whole thing to be really all that flat. The seams are puckering a little bit, so overall, I don't think I would recommend this tote bag unless you need something very, 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 very large. Next up is our luggage tag. Now, normally on a luggage tag, you might want to put something like, I don't know, your address and your phone number. I just put an image for this one so we could see how it's sublimated. I did find it interesting though. Here, you can really see the ink blowout that happened because of the way that the paper wrinkled. This is all escaped ink, and this is why you use that butcher paper, because you don't want this escaped ink ending up on your heat press. Go ahead and pull it off here. Oh man, that sublimated so well. That's really beautiful. Holy moly, this is like really lovely. This is one of my favorite things I've sublimated in a long time. Look at that. It worked so, so well. It does also come with this little luggage tag holder here. This is not a particularly high quality thing. I might actually want to buy something that's more leather off of Amazon maybe, because I don't feel like that's gonna hold very well. So overall, really happy with how this sublimated. It's absolutely gorgeous. This little tag thing here, eh. And then you'll notice that when I pulled the tape off the back, I don't know, can you see this? I have actual tape marks on the back, which I'm not thrilled about. But the front of this thing, it looks really good. Next up is the coaster. Normally I'd make 4 of these, but for this project I just made 1. Let's go ahead and pull it off here. And again, this sublimated just beautifully. I love this. The colors are absolutely gorgeous. It's sublimated edge to edge. It's got a really smooth surface. Overall, this is really lovely. I'm gonna flip it over here and I'm gonna add its cork backing. So it comes with these little cork backs. You can just put them on here, just like this. And that way they won't damage your tables. This one I can definitely recommend, really beautiful sublimation. Let's move on to our drinkware. I'm gonna pull off the design here and see how this did. Another really beautiful sublimation project. I'm really happy with this one. Because of this handle, you're going to have a seam here. There's just no good way to sublimate around a handle like that I've found that's easy. So just be prepared that if you do have a handle, you're gonna end up with, you know, a white seam here. But overall, I mean, that sublimated really nicely. Now, would I want this mug for myself? Honestly, I don't think so. Only because I don't really love how this handle feels, and it's not gonna fit in a cup holder, even though it's a travel mug. So while this sublimated beautifully, its actual function as a mug is just not for me. It may be for you, might be really good for a desk or something like that, but generally, if I'm drinking coffee out of a to-go cup, I'm gonna need it to fit in a cup holder, and this one just, I don't think it's going to. Next up, we have our glass mug, and I don't know, I feel like sublimating glass is always very hit or miss for me, so let's see what we've got here. Ooh, that is an absolute miss. This did not sublimate almost at all. You can see some slight coloring at the top, but wow, that did not. I did this exactly according to the time and temperature directions. So this one was a bust. Definitely cannot recommend this. I also don't love how there is a big seam in the glass right here on the front either. So this guy, no. And then we have our final glitter mug. So let me go ahead and pull this off here. Ooh, again, almost no sublimation. This is such a disappointment. Maybe I needed a longer time and temperature. I don't know. I'm really, really disappointed with how this turned out. I can see just the edges up here. I may try someday and resublimate this with a longer temperature, but overall this one did not work for me either. So this was kind of a hit or miss experiment. I like doing these types of videos because I want you to see what you're gonna get before you buy. So the things that I definitely would recommend, this luggage tag, this coaster, this t-shirt, all 3 of those are great. The tall travel mug sublimated beautifully. I just don't like the shape of it. So other than the shape of it, this is definitely a recommended one. Then I can mostly recommend the zippered pouch. I just wish it was a little higher quality, but overall, I mean, it sublimated really nicely. And then there is the enormous bag. I'm not sure I would recommend this unless you need an absolutely stinking enormous bag. I do feel like the quality is not the best here. And then sadly, I don't think I could recommend either of these mugs, the clear mug or the glitter mug. Neither of them really sublimated well at all, and I'm really kind of disappointed that I didn't get more color out of either of those. I hope you found this video about testing Michaels blanks helpful. Don't forget to grab the free sublimation bundle in my craft library. If you did find this video helpful or inspiring, please give it a like. Follow my channel for more sublimation, Cricut, and laser content. I'll see you next week.